Today's lesson is locusts can detect cancer in human beings. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Helen.
And today we're going to talk about locusts in a good way. Usually when we see the word locust, we think of them in a bad way, especially if they form swarms and go flying all over the place and destroy crops in various parts of the world. But today, of course, we're talking about locusts in a good way. They can actually tell if cancer is in a human being or in a person so that they can be treated earlier. And not only that, but they can also tell you what kind of cancer you might have.
Yes, it seems like dogs aren't the only animals that can detect cancer. We've heard of dogs and their superior sense of smell that's able to detect cancers in humans. But dogs aren't the only ones because it turns out that locusts can also detect cancers based on the sense of smell.
Indeed. So let's find out what this is all about, everybody. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson, and we'll come back to discuss it.
Locusts can detect cancer in human beings. In a major breakthrough for cancer research, scientists have demonstrated that locusts can smell cancer cells in human beings. What's more, the insects have even exhibited the ability to distinguish between different types of cancer. If this ability can be utilized in medical devices, it could contribute to massive improvements in cancer treatment.
大家好，第一部分我们可以看到单字 demonstrate， 这个字是动词，指的是证明、表明、显示或是示范。例如 This latest crime demonstrates the need for more video cameras in the area. 最近的这起犯罪案显示出这个区域需要更多摄影机。或者 The technician demonstrated how to use the equipment for the new employee. 技术员向那位新进员工示范如何使用器材。另外补充这个字的名词 demonstration D-E-M-O-N-S-T-R-A-T-I-O-N demonstration 它的意思是示范或是示威游行，像是 After watching the kite making demonstration, Larry wanted to make one. 看了风筝制作示范教学后 Larry 想动手做一个。或者 The demonstration for animal rights ended peacefully. 这场争取动物权益的示威活动和平落幕。接着我们看到动词 utilize， 它的意思是使用或是利用。举例来说 Vaccines utilize the weakened form of a virus to help patients develop immunity to that same virus. 疫苗是用一种病毒的弱化形态来协助病患发展对该病毒的免疫力。又或者说 The upcoming movie will utilize the most cutting-edge technology. 那部即将上映的电影将会使用最先进的科技。再来我们看到单字 device， 这个字是名词，意思是装置、器具或是设备。例如 A telescope is a device that allows you to see things that are far away. 望远镜是一种让你可以看到远方东西的装置。或是 My father has been working in his laboratory for months to create a new mustard dispensing device. 我爸爸几个月来都在实验室里打造新的芥末机。接着我们看到片语 contribute to， 意思是造成、导致或是促成。例如 Illegal logging contributes to the disappearance of several tree species. 盗伐山林造成了数个树木物种消失。或者我们可以说 Eating fatty foods and not exercising can contribute to health problems. 饮食油腻加上缺乏运动会引发健康问题。
So in a major breakthrough for cancer research, scientists have demonstrated that locusts can smell cancer cells in human beings. So scientists have been doing research, they have been conducting tests in cancer, in the study of cancer, and as a result of their research, they have demonstrated that locusts can smell cancer cells. When you demonstrate something, you're showing that that thing is true.
Indeed. So this is a major breakthrough for cancer research. Of course, we're trying to figure out what cancer is all the time and how to find a cure for it. Lots of people are still suffering from cancer and dying from it every year. So this is kind of a big breakthrough here for cancer research. Scientists have demonstrated or shown that locusts can smell cancer cells in human beings. Okay, so they can detect if those cancer cells are there by using their sense of smell. What's more, or in addition, also, the insects have even exhibited the ability to distinguish between different types of cancer. That's kind of amazing here because, as far as I know, locusts do not have the capacity for speech. So it's kind of interesting, or would be kind of interesting, to know exactly how they can tell the locust is communicating with us and what they're actually saying. Yeah, this is, liver cancer, or this one's a skin cancer, or whatever. There must be ways to figure out what the locusts are telling us. But they have shown or exhibited the ability to distinguish between different types of cancer. So there's that verb phrase, to distinguish between one thing and another, to tell the difference between them. They don't just detect cancer, they actually can tell the actual type of cancer.
Yes, and here the phrase, what's more, basically means in addition. So I can say, I just quit my job. What's more, I've decided to move to another city. So in addition to what I just said, I'm saying something else. I've decided to move to another city. Now, if this ability can be utilized in medical devices, it could contribute to massive improvements in cancer treatment. So if this ability, the ability that the writer is referring to, is the locust's ability to smell cancer. So if this can be utilized in medical devices, utilized here means to use something, and they're thinking about using this ability in medical devices or machines, then it can contribute to massive improvements in cancer treatment. And what is the difference between utilize and to use? Actually, there isn't much difference. They're practically interchangeable. But my feeling is that utilize tends to be used for talking about machines or gadgets or devices that have a particular purpose. So you can say that this machine is utilized for cutting grasses or for cutting grass. Of course, you can also say this machine is used for cutting grass, but utilize tends to refer to the original use, the original purpose of that thing.
Okay, and of course we've got devices as well. Those are special machines that have special functions. If you go to the hospital, for example, the doctors and nurses there will be using various medical devices to help you get better. They can use a device to check your blood pressure, to check oxygen levels in your bloodstream, to check your breathing, etc. They have various machines or devices that can do those sorts of things. And yes, this ability could contribute to massive improvements in cancer treatment. So here we've got the verb to contribute, which means to add to something or to make a contribution to help something out.
Yes, so this ability can be used in devices which can contribute to or help massive improvements in cancer treatment. So the scientists have discovered another animal, another ability of a particular animal to help human beings fight a disease.
So perhaps locusts have a good purpose after all. Okay, let's move on now to the second part of our lesson, and we'll talk some more about this very topic.
Scientists were already aware that cancer cells look different from healthy cells, but now they have confirmed that they smell different too. To show this, they attached electrodes to locusts' brains to measure changes in their brain activity when they encountered gas samples from different cells. The locusts first exhibited very different responses to oral cancer cells and healthy cells, and they then displayed distinct reactions to 3 different forms of cancer.
第二部分我们看到动词 attach， 意思是使附着、附上或是固定。举例来说 ，A note was attached to the present, but Greg didn't read it. 礼物附上了一张纸条，但是 Greg 并没有看。又或者说 ，This rope is attached to the curtains, So when you pull it, the curtains open. 这条绳子系在窗帘上，所以当你拉它时，窗帘就会打开。最后我们看到动词 encounter， 意思是遇到、遭遇问题不愉快的事，或是偶遇。我们可以说 When one encounters problems, one needs to be creative in thinking up solutions. 当一个人遇到问题时，必须要有创意，才能想出解决办法。又或者说 Bridget and I first encountered each other at the gym, and we've been good friends since. 我和 Bridget 一开始是在健身房偶遇彼此，从那之后，我们一直都是好朋友。
So we're talking about the smell of cancer. Now, scientists were already aware that cancer cells look different from healthy cells, but now they have confirmed that they smell different too. So cancer cells smell different from normal human cells.
And to show this, or to demonstrate this, they attached electrodes to locusts' brains to measure changes in their brain activity when they encountered gas samples from different cells. So you might be thinking, how the heck can they tell if a locust is smelling cancer or not? Locusts are insects, they're small, they don't have the capacity for speech or communication, so they have to use other ways to figure out how locusts are smelling that cancer. So they use these electrodes. And those are like wires with special kinds of sensors that are attached to the brains of locusts. And if you attach something to something, you stick it to it so it stays there. Also, if you send somebody an email and you include a document, you are attaching that document to your email. You're including it with that email. It's part of it.
Right, so the scientists attached or they joined the electrodes, which are metal things that contain electrical charge, to the brains of locusts. And with these electrodes, they were able to measure changes in their brain activity when they encountered gas samples. So to encounter something means to come across something or to meet something. You can encounter people or you can encounter experiences. Here, the locusts are encountering gas samples from different cells or different cancer cells. They're coming across these gas samples.
Apparently, different kinds of cells emit different kinds of gases. And in this particular case, the locust's brains will have a certain reaction to certain gas samples from certain cells. And the locusts first exhibited very different responses to oral cancer cells and healthy cells. And they then displayed distinct reactions to 3 different forms of cancer. So, of course, this is what happened at first. They exhibited very different responses to oral cancer cells and healthy cells. Oral cancer, of course, is cancer in your mouth. And then, of course, we're comparing oral cancer cells with healthy cells. And yes, indeed, they had different responses depending on which gas they were smelling. And then, of course, they later displayed distinct reactions to other forms of cancer, 3 different forms of cancer. They behaved in different ways, or their brains had different wave patterns.
So they displayed distinct reactions. Now, first of all, to display means to show or to demonstrate. Now, they showed or demonstrated reactions that are distinct. Distinct means clearly separate and different, one from the other. So when you have 3 distinct forms of cancer, you have 3 forms of cancer that are totally different and separate from one another.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's listen now to the third and final part.
Locusts have frequently been used in smell research, but this is the first time they have been used to detect cancer. The resulting discoveries could potentially stimulate the development of new technologies that would enable much earlier detection of certain cancers. Such earlier detection could in turn lead to greatly improved chances of survival for affected patients.
So in conclusion, locusts have frequently been used in smell research, but this is the first time they have been used to detect cancer. So these animals have been used a lot in previous tests and previous research that involved the sense of smell. But this is the first time that these animals, these insects, have been used to detect cancer, to tell whether cancer cells are present.
Right, so they've been used in scientific research before regarding smell, but this is the first time they've been used to detect cancer, and the resulting discoveries could potentially stimulate the development of new technologies that would enable much earlier detection of certain cancers. So we're not talking specifically about having locusts in hospitals or keeping locusts at home as pets so they can help us detect cancer. We're talking about using them to learn more about detecting cancer. We need to figure out exactly how the locusts do it, and then we can apply that knowledge to medical devices. And supposedly we don't actually have to use locusts themselves. We just need to learn from the locusts to figure out how they do it.
Yes, and such earlier detection could in turn lead to greatly improved chances of survival for affected patients. Now, as we all know, it's very important to detect cancers early on in the early stages so that the patient can survive, because oftentimes cancers happen without any symptoms. People who have cancer don't know that they have it initially because they don't feel it. It doesn't hurt. They don't do anything differently than they did before. But then when they do feel the cancer, it's too late. That's why early detection is very important, and it's important to make your annual appointments with your doctors.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. It's time now to listen to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文最后一句写道，这种早期发现进而能大幅提高染病病人的生存机会。那文中是用 in turn 去表达进而怎么样怎么样，我们来整理它的用法哦。in turn 第一种用法呢，它可以表达进而、转而或是接续怎么样，或者是相应的。那常常用在一连串的行动或事件当中，一个导致另一个的情况。举例来说， Creating a comfortable environment will help employees concentrate better and will in turn increase efficiency. 创造一个舒适的环境将有助于员工更专心，进而提升效率。好，那么第二个用法呢，我们可以用 in turn 去表达依序地、轮流地，用来表达依序进行的意思，像是 The principal shook hands with each of us in turn. 校长依序跟我们每个人握手。那我们顺便补充几个跟 turn 有关的片语。第一个是 by turns， 它也有轮流交替的意思，可是这是指说没有固定顺序的交替着。像 The movie made me laugh and cry by turns， 就是说那部电影让我时而欢笑，时而哭泣。好，那第二个补充的是 take turns， 表示轮流。那其中的 turns 固定要用复数，可以用 take turns 加上动词 ing 来表达轮流做某事。例如 The kids took turns playing on the slide， 小朋友们轮流玩溜滑梯。好，那第三个补充的是 twists and turns， 这是指迂回曲折，其中的 twist 和 turn 就有转弯啊、弯曲处的意思。当我们用 twists and turns 可以表达意外的发展转变，像是 The story is full of twists and turns， 这个故事充满了意外转折。那么第四个补充的用法是 take a turn for the better， 这个其中的 turn 是当名词表示转变， the better 是指更好的情况，所以 take a turn for the better 字面意思是往更好的情况转变发展，也就是用来表示说情况好转。那相反的呢， take a turn for the worse 意思是情况突然恶化，急转直下。例如 Their relationship took a turn for the worse， 他们的关系急转直下。 第5个补充的是 at every turn， 字面意思是每个转弯处，那就表示每次、总是或是处处。你也可以用来表达说，每当你要尝试做某事的时候，总是会遇到什么样的情况。好，举例来说 Their proposals were rejected at every turn， 他们的提案总是被拒绝。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Demonstrate. The extra practice demonstrated the basketball team's desire to win. Utilize. The plane's design utilized special materials to make it lighter. Device. A phone is a device that lets you speak to other people far, far away. Attach. Meredith attached a nice note to the birthday present she bought for her brother. Encounter. The policeman was surprised to encounter the suspect at the post office. Distinct. Liza couldn't see any difference between the two colors, but they were quite distinct to Sarah.
Discussion starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, do you think the research mentioned in the article provides convincing evidence that locusts can detect cancer in human beings? Why or why not?
Well, I think the evidence is convincing because if the scientists were able to measure changes in the locust brain activity, then that evidence is pretty clear because they are looking inside the brain of these insects. They're not just looking at their outward behavior.
Well, I'm not convinced by the evidence myself, since locusts are so small and those reactions could be a reaction to anything, not necessarily the cancer. And of course, we need to have a peer review of that research, and we need to have other institutions duplicate that research to confirm those findings. Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoyed reading along with us. I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.